Hey guys, welcome to the live. This is my makeup live comic book reading from yesterday's midnight read, which didn't happen, and I have a reason. It's just because I had technical difficulties, so I didn't want to go live with, you know, things cutting out and like all that kind of stuff. So I am getting a couple things updated very soon, but I'm not going to spend too much preamble with any of that stuff. We are instead going to get right into the read. Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can do this. I haven't done. So, quick disclosure. I've been dealing a lot with my own personal emotional mental health crises. So I've been coming to a lot of healing for myself. So I thanks you guys for having some patience. I've been kind of trying to get myself together, and I do relate to Jean Grey in a lot. I was looking at some of my old reads, my botanical garden here. Oh, Jehovah God. Great name and welcome to the live. So I am Jean Grey, Omega level telepath, and of course one of the original 5 X-Men. uh you know what we're gonna do, psychic powers. I do have, oh my goodness, you know what, maybe we'll talk about that for a second, you guys. Let me bring this down a bit closer. I had to block my little X thing here. So I've been doing a lot of updated cosplays, or trying to work on some new cosplays, but a lot of them have been taking a lot longer than I had wanted. Rogar, yes. So if you guys, oh my goodness, let me put this here. All right, this big flower is like too much. I like it, but a little too much there. Okay, good. We'll put this here. There we go. Good. I like that a little better. Okay, so Jean Grey, Omega level psychic. Yes. Where do I want to begin with this? So we are going to be reading this, which is Phoenix Resurrection, the Return of Jean Grey. I was actually rereading this ahead of, I'm sorry if you guys can hear my background music, not music, but my hubby's watching a movie in the other room. I don't know why it's like extra loud right now, but I was going to put on some music, but then when I have this X-Men suit on, I can't actually touch anything really well. So it'll be kind of fun to see what it's like trying to get out of this live. We shall see. Hold on a second. I kind of want a little bit of flowers. I should have set this up much more beforehand. Okay, so let me tell you a bit of a story about Jean Grey in just a second. Hey, Philadelphia Catwoman. I'm not doing any battles right now. I'm doing, I just need to read this guy because there's a really important message in there for you guys that I want to leave you guys as it comes to like psychic health, clairvoyance, remote viewing, perception, all that kind of stuff. Fun fact. I like that one. I like the one, Brad. Fun fact. Before the crowbar was invented, crows would just drink at home. Let me just pull this suit. I'm going to fight with the mic for a second. So let's talk Jean Grey for like 2 seconds. I myself personally, I would say that I have some semblance of psychic abilities. If you guys have what you would call psychic abilities, please do drop in the chat if you do. Now, I have done some videos and content in the past about things like psychic health, as well as things that you can do to enhance your psychic abilities, as well as things like, astral travel, or like remote viewing, or clairvoyance, or seeing the future. All of these like very woo-woo things. It's really interesting because there are actual scientific backings. Well, not scientific backings, but more stories and there hasn't really been a lot of hard research about it beyond, oh, Daddy went. A lot of people just dropped in all at once. Welcome, you guys. Jean Grey is back. I've been working on creating a real psychic eye shield instead of using the face paint for Jean. So that will be coming up very soon. I'm going to be using Eva foam and making that as well. So if you guys, quick question for all of you guys. If you were to be, I don't know if you guys have seen the movie, Chris Evans was in it, Push, yeah. So the movie Push, which was about, superhuman people who had different abilities. And so depending on the type of ability you have, how that expresses itself is unique, just like in the X-Men. So if you're not familiar with Jean, I'm more of an empath, Tony Holder. I pick up on the emotions of others in almost all situations. So Tony, it's almost like I had this conversation with others about your inner feminine, inner masculine. So if you're a boy, you have an inner feminine, and me being a girl, I have an inner masculine. And so Jean Grey, her powers come from empathy. Now, while that tends to be more feminine, boo Marvel. I haven't done Marvel in a long time, you guys, and Jean's really special to me. I'm going to explain why I put Jean on tonight. I go in and out of reality. Oh, we're in good company tonight, you guys. So I'm going to share some stories with you before we get into this read. Full disclosure, I was reading this today, or reading this before I was getting on live with you guys, and I cried. I had a full-on cry reading this. Jean has a relationship with the Phoenix. Now, Jimmy, thank you for the heart me. So let's go back to psychic abilities. Let's define our terms, class. Jean Grey, like our class of higher learning, if you want to call it that, for all my mutants out there. So multiple timelines, multiple realities. I'm so happy you found your way into this one. So welcome. Jean Grey is a very special character to me personally, just because I relate to her on multiple levels. If you're not familiar with Jean, she is one of the original 5 X-Men, and that includes, of course, Jean Grey, Cyclops, her husband, my hubby, Beast, Angel, and Iceman, Bobby. So, oh, thank you for sharing, my Wolfie. Yes. So Jean Grey is also the mother to a Rachel Summers. So my name is Rachel Z. Rachel Summers, in the grand scheme of the Marvel universe, she hasn't really been done in live action. However, in the comic books, she's very much important to the different time traveling things that happened with the X-Men. She actually teaches a course called the Ethics of Time Travel, right? So you would imagine that if you're jumping in and out of time streams and time space, that there are echoes and ripples and all of that kind of stuff in it, just like when you throw a pebble, the butterfly effect, all of that kind of fun stuff. So for you guys, when it comes to like psychic abilities, Jean Grey, she she has her powers that are based in empathy. If you want to relate that to, let's say, a character like Emma Frost, she's also a telepath, right? But she's much more like mental constructs. And so these are related, but they're not the same. I did start 2 hours, because Pokey, this isn't really supposed to be happening right now. My midnight live streams are really supposed to be Tuesdays and Thursdays. And I am going to be doing some Gotham live streaming with some friends. I joined a group to do some Gotham lives. So I have a new Batgirl cosplay coming down the pipe, as well as I'm working on a Poison Ivy and a Catwoman. I know there have been many, many requests for Wonder Woman. We will see if that happens. But I'm going to put DC on the shelf for a second, and I'm going to talk about X-Men. None of this exists. Oh, Red Heron, hello. This is Jean Grey, one of the Jean Greys. And the call that will never, yeah. So, okay. Thank you, Red Heron. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my own experiences with my own personal psychic abilities. So, I have always been the type of person, the way messages come to me from the universe is through my body, very like somatically. Like I feel things. It's unfortunate because, not unfortunate, but I'm much better in person with you guys. Like if I see you, I can feel the vibe off you. Like I can just I can feel your energy. And so to those of you who are very sensitive to energies, there can be this thing of like barriers, right? And boundaries that can be tough for people who are very high empathy, right? But not the Dark Phoenix. Oh, Cadillac Speedster, there's some stuff with the Dark Phoenix that I think all of us can relate to when it comes to those who walk that balance of the dark and the light, right? Like creation is only possible with destruction, right? Beginnings are only possible with endings. There is no life without death. There's no death without life. And that is the interesting thing about this whole reality, right? And it's not so easy to understand. That's why it takes many lifetimes in Earth School for our souls to fully come to comprehension as to how beautiful and special and immortal we really are. Now, I just got full body tingles saying that. Okay, I think I'm on the right track. So I personally, holy cow, I've been having to go through a lot recently, as I've mentioned to you guys, coming to terms with the fact that my mom had a mental illness growing up, like borderline personality disorder, which is a mood disorder. We can talk about that another time. Uh, but coming to realization of that and accepting that, oh, okay, I'm going to go get help for this in multiple ways, whether that's therapy or going back to dance and all that kind of stuff. The first step of anything is recognizing something is there, right? Something happened, right? Because oftentimes when any of us go through trauma, I don't know if any of you guys have done this, and this is the relationship between, memory and everything else, right? So you got a job interview on Friday. Hey, Pokey. I wish you all the best in that. I hope they deserve you. Put it that way, right? Because when you go for job interviews, you're always like, oh yeah, like we want to impress them in the interview, but also they need to make sure that they're the right fit for you too. It goes both ways. As someone who's been a manager and interviewed a lot of people as well, right? For a photographer position, oh my gosh, I just got full body tingles you mentioning that. I feel like that's a lovely match for all the stuff coming up. And we are in Aquarius season, and I want to mention Aquarius and air signs in a perspective of like bringing astrology back into this, because Jean Grey's a Scorpio. My mother was a Scorpio. Rachel Summers, her mother was a Scorpio. And I feel like when it comes to, I wonder what sign Peter Parker is. I should look that up. If I had to guess, I feel like Peter Parker might be an Aquarius because he's super smart, right? But he's also very caring, nerdy. He could be an Aquarius. I'll look that up. Um, Anyways, back to Jean Grey, psychic abilities, all that kind of good stuff. My sister is she's got a lot of stubbornness in her, Pokey. She'll disagree with you just for the sake of disagreeing with you. And she can be very like stoic. I don't know. She likes to like get rises out of people, and like if you meet her in person, I feel like you guys would really, really like vibe. But until she knows you in person, she's very suspicious of online things. Peter Parker's a Leo. Thank you, Red Heron. Oh, interesting. I bet you Peter Parker has a moon sign in a feminine sign for some reason. And I'm an over-explainer. And hi, Mr. Bravo. Hello. Okay. Quick fact about Jean Grey. Her father was actually Professor X's professor at Baird College. Now, MCU Peter is August 10th, but comic Peter is a Libra. Oh, interesting. You know what, you guys? Just, oh my gosh, I'm trying to make sure I say your name right. Scaramouche. Scaramouche? Is that from like Queen? Scaramouche. Fandango. I have a sword. Oh my gosh, I gotta show you guys. Got a new sword today, right? Supposed to be, I'm going to be using this tomorrow when you guys see my next cosplay, which is my D&D character, which is Mayari Moonchild. What about Miles Morales? I personally love that Spider-Man the most. You know what? That would be a fun thing to do, to map out all the different versions. What is my sign? I am a Taurus. However, you guys, I've been doing a lot of digging into Vedic astrology. There's a lot of stuff out there you can look into. You can go into many rabbit holes like numerology, astrology. We have the new lunar year is coming up very soon, which is going to be a fire horse. We're moving away from the year of the snake into a fire horse, so that's fun, and that's lunar ways of keeping time. But I love the saying of, I don't know who said this, but this concept of let's not confuse time with the markers that we use in order to like mark it, right? Like time is not the hands of a clock or the calendar. Time is time. We're just using this to like keep track of it or make sure that we can meet for dinner at the right time, right? Or we're in the same universe at the right time so that we can meet. So more about time in a later date when I do a Rachel Summers cosplay. But when we talk about psychic abilities and talking to people in your head, and let's talk about even like the ethics of that, right? So have you guys ever been able to read other people's minds? And second question, have you ever been through like hypnotism or witnessed hypnosis or been hypnotized or had hypnotherapy, anything like that? Time up on it. Time is how many donuts and dragon eggs you eat. Hey, I'm going to dismiss the dragon eggs, but you could keep time in that way. It's really up to you, right? Never hypnotized. Mal's birth is August 3rd. It's a reference to his first appearance in August 3rd, 2011, so he's a Leo. Yo, I do love my Leos. I do. I would say, though, Leos can be so different depending on the other things in their chart. For example, I'm a Taurus, right? Guess who else is a Taurus? Megan Fox. And Megan Fox's moon sign is actually Leo. My moon sign's Gemini. And so that tempers, and it also like provides nuance and granularity to like the personality type or character type. What I find really interesting with comic book characters, right, is two things, I think, two dates to kind of pay attention to are the date that the creator cites as that character's birthday and the date that character first appears in human consciousness. Like the first time that character appears in print in a story, right? There's like that birth of as well. So there's interesting. I love Megan Fox. I would love for her to be in my movie. She's beautiful. She's a beautiful girl. Let's see. Easier to not pick up on people's intentions. My psychic ability is more about reading the future rather than other people. Oh, interesting. And thank you, Cloven. Okay. How about things like, this happens to me with like the radio. Like, so for example, I've been doing a lot of choreography lately, which is like putting, like there's a difference between freestyle dance and then putting actual dance moves to the song, right? It's like a language. Dance is a body language. And so I was thinking of doing the song Crazy by Britney Spears, the Stop remix. Crazy, do, do. And I was going to do Jessica Cruz Green Lantern to that because she wears that green top. And crazy, what is crazy? Crazy is just a matter of perspective too. And when you think about your emotions and all that kind of stuff, today's Britney Spears' birthday, or today's Jessica Cruz's birthday. This might be Jessica Cruz's birthday. Yo, oh no, I've been summoning people lately though. Oh, yo, she just turned 60, right? I don't even know. I need to double check on all that. Brittany, she didn't turn 60, did she? Britney Spears? I love Britney. You know what? I would love it because I'm funding a movie, right? I would love it if I could get like my old 90s ladies that I loved and I would get them to like perform live and I could dance with them and we would like make a whole story around them and bring that into this reality, right? According to a crossover with Black Panther, Deadpool is a Scorpio. Deadpool would seem like a Scorpio because Scorpios are, so you guys, uh, your astrology sign, I like to look at it as, I don't have my wheel with me right now, but you have two sides of the chart, and I like to look at it as like a stage. You have like front stage signs and backstage signs. And so from Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, um, Virgo, is that next? Yes. And then once you get to Libra, it splits the chart, and then we have Scorpio, and then all the signs after in the backstage. It's almost like those signs have more awareness of the other realms and unseen things. And so like things like Pisces, Aquarius, Capricorn, Sagittarius, it's like there's this awareness of the higher mind. And that's where I think psychic abilities can come from, right? If we want to think of things, let's say like esoterically and woo woo, and I am you and you are me, and we are the whole universe, and we're just in a cosmic play, and I'm just playing the role of me and you're playing you. But really, after this story is done, we're gonna go up in like the higher realm and have like lunch later, you know? As and when you do plays, when you're involved in production, you realize like, oh wow, there's a strange mirroring of how reality works too, right? Yeah. So how should I put this? When it comes to psychic stuff, Jean Grey is known as her abilities come from deep empathy. And she first awakens to her powers when she's involved in a car accident with her best friend. Her best friend dies, and at this point, Jean is psychically linked to her at the same time. So she experiences the whole experience of like the death experience and goes through it. And after this point, Jean goes into like basically a catatonic state. She becomes a recluse. She hides from the world. It's at this point that Professor X recruits her, right? Because Professor X is actually a student of her dad. Her dad's a professor. So like I relate to this so much because like I was like goody two shoes, straight A student. I was also very, very connected and very connected to my friends. I still am. My best friend Laura, I reconnected with her over Christmas. She was telling me a story about she went through a really hard time because her father was a police officer in, you know, hard cases. He ended up getting injured and, you know, she lost him. He passed, but uh, she still has the old house, right, that he like died in. And there's like this interesting thing about how we deal with like those who cross over and like the spirits and all that kind of stuff, that world. And she was telling me this story about a vision where she was like having a nightmare and she was running in her dream and this big mama bear came to her and like pulled her up into this tree house, right? And then you guys know I sketch and I draw, right? And I told her later on, I found the date when I had sketched this treehouse and I sent it to her. I'm like, Laura, is this the treehouse? And she's like, holy shit, it's like you heard me in the dream. I'm like, yeah, um, I'm always going to be here for you when it comes to that. Because when we think about psychic states, right, when you're dreaming, it seems so real, right? And so when we have nightmares, I don't really, I'm on fairy OD parents. They grew up with Britney Spears being a joke character. Oh yeah, Taurus Marvel characters include Hank Pym. I didn't know that Hank Pym was a Taurus. Thank you for that, Scaramouche. Silk. Ooh, I had someone request me cosplay Silk actually. Tommy and Billy Maximoff. And Aunt May. Aunt May's a Taurus, and you know she's baking weed brownies, yo. I feel like fairly odd parents. Yeah. it's hard to be vulnerable, totally, in your dreams, yes. Because some people say that they don't dream, right? Um, I did, so I have a double honors degree from the University of Manitoba in something that's like random, right? I did English literature and psychology. I did psychology as a science up until a point where I had to graduate from either arts or science, because psychology you can take as either as an art or a science, right? So I took it as an art. I took also English literature, so I studied Shakespeare, all the classics, mythology. Oh my gosh, my books fell over for a second. I should have brought. You know what, you guys? That's just a towel for me to get into the read. Oh, Emotional. Oh, I love that name. MC Watme would. Oh yeah, right? Right? She would make hot brownies. And um Pokey, I will say this. I used to be a project manager here at the hospital in downtown Toronto for a center called eHealth for Global Innovation for an application called BANT, named after Frederick Banting, who discovered insulin. On that team, I had a developer named Jeremy. Never went to high school for coding, but he was the most brilliant engineer when it came to putting, like, he was so heart centric when it came to code. And and there's a balance of that too, right? Because there's all this stuff like coding boot camps and all that kind of stuff. And university degrees, as much as I love school, I treated school like a game. So like I was like, okay, I want to win the game. Oh my goodness. I need to have a drink. Hold on a second. You guys stay here. Oh my goodness. Na, 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 na. Okay, I'm back. Let's go. Okay, so I'm not going to go off on any more tangents. I'm just going to go into the read with you guys. I apologize if I cry tonight. This my magical time. You can hear my hubby in the background. And look, this is one of my dragon eggs. I never seen you cry. You will, Pokey. It's a matter of time. I'm an easy cry though. I cried during Pokemon the first movie. I also just like cry happy tears too, right? So I am very very emotional. I get really into things. This is my golden dragon egg. And so it kind of looks like it could be a phoenix egg as well. I cry during commercials. I think it's like my sister, for example, is not a big crier. She's not a big hugger, not a big any of that kind of stuff. But it doesn't mean that you're not necessarily emotional. We just show things in different ways, right? I think most people cry. Really? I was in a theater with my sis, and there was just a bunch of kids watching Pokemon, the first movie. And that part where like Pikachu's trying to wake Ash up, or he's like, Pikachu, Pikachu, da da da. I have to send it to you, right? Okay. I feel like yours would be a bit more, would be darker in nature, like steel and like maybe titanium, something like that. All right. Pink. And of course, pink. Yes. Uh, what kind? I think I know what kind of pink based on your setup too, Poke. I needed to be pink. Yeah, of course. Pink is a beautiful color too because it's like what it invokes. Like each color, if you want, we can talk about like color therapy as well. What it invokes in you. So it used to be actually that pink was a boy's color, not a girl's color. So doesn't this cover look familiar? It looks very much like Crisis on Infinite Earths, right? Hi, Gwen Stacy. It's like you came right on cue. So how should I explain this, and where do I want to begin in this story? I do want to end the story with you guys. Kitty Pryde is pretty much the Okay, I know where to begin with this. We're gonna jump into the part where they go and get Jean back. So I don't know about the events before this particular story, but how Jean, are you guys familiar with Jean Grey and the Phoenix? And the fact that Jean Grey is not the Phoenix, although they're like intrinsically related, right? So there is a point in time where Jean Grey goes on a mission with her fellow X-Men out into space, and they're all going to die. It's like, TKO, right? It's all gonna end. It's over, right? So Jean cries out into the universe and she asks for help. And the Phoenix responds. The Phoenix responds, however, though, by incubating Jean into like an egg because she's out in space, and I think she gets like basically lethal amounts of radiation. And so she needs to recoup. Her actual like physical body needs to recoup. So in this time, the Phoenix takes on Jean's memories, her consciousness. Because remember, the Phoenix is a cosmic entity, basically like a god. And so if we think of like Moon Knight or like moon goddesses or sun gods or like the earth goddess and like these like energies where they can't one to one enact anything. It's like it's too OP in that kind of sense, right? So in that sense, the goddesses choose champions, right? So I wasn't going to talk about the Flash because we're in Marvel. I did actually watch Flashpoint Paradox before jumping on this live, which was like, that also got me. But tomorrow will be DC, and tomorrow Supergirl will be back. In the Speed Force, right? And, I have literally winged ankles tattooed on me, so I do love the Flash, Mercury, Hermes, the messenger of the gods. But remember, we're talking about gods plural, right? And we're talking about essences and aspects, right? So whether or not you mean creator gods, right? Or you mean gods of nature, or gods of things like wisdom, strength, death, that kind of stuff. So all of these things can be embodied, personified, right? Because us as like human beings, that's all we have in terms of a frame of reference, right? Honor, love, peace, purity. You can't hold that, right? So we create characters that hold those energy signatures within them. So let's jump into this. So what's happening here is that Jean Grey, is in this dreamlike incubation state, right? And the Phoenix is holding her there. And I'm going to actually just jump into that point because I think Kitty explains it, and that'll be a good way to kind of explain. There's donuts in here, actually, Pokey, now that you mention that, because Jean is like see, like, Phoenix on top of the donut shop. All right, let's just jump into it. We're going to go into New Mexico. Let's go. What is this? I don't know, but I think it wants us to go in. So this is the egg that I'm talking about. The Phoenix made an egg, right? That is incubating Jean in it. And she's in like a dreamlike state in order to recover. So I don't know, but I think it wants us to go in. And that's why I don't want to. And then Kitty touches it. It's like one of those alien movies. You're like, do we go in? Do we touch it? How old is the Phoenix Force? Oh, wow. Scaramouche, great question. And Gwen Stacy, Mama G's not kidnapped. She is watched over by the god. Yes, yes. Well, the Phoenix, I have read you guys. I need to dig this up, but I had a reading with you guys of the history of the entire Marvel universe, right? And in that story, they talk about the Phoenix as being an entity that represents creation and destruction. So at the beginning of the universe, in the creation, when the Infinity Stones were created, the Macrab crystal, the creation of the universe, right, is a woman. Yes, exactly, Gwen Stacy. She's like a goddess herself, right? She's a redneck. Which, you know what? In some renditions of how they talk about the relationship between Phoenix and Jean Grey is that the Phoenix, or rather, Jean Grey is actually the mother to the Phoenix in a strange way. I'm not doing a great job of explaining the way that kind of works in terms of cosmic entities and such, but because of the fact that Jean Grey is an Omega level mutant in terms of being able to have that empathy and capacity to have awareness and compassion for all beings of life, she's a perfect host for an entity like the Phoenix, which represents all life, all creation, right? And all of like the power that comes from that, as well as all the stuff that happens with the destruction of it, right? And that's the same thing with emotions, right? Emotion is not bad or good, right? Anger, when justified, is necessary, right? But if we don't know how to like control our anger, we can hurt people, right? Sadness, when it is required, or when we have grief over losing a loved one, is something that is, I would expect, a natural human response, right? When you lose someone you love, you would, of course, feel that. Now, it becomes this situation when like emotions become overwhelming, hard to deal with, where we can't even function because we are overwhelmingly sad. We are overwhelmingly overcome with certain emotions that are difficult to deal with. That is what I think is the tell with all the gods and goddesses speak at the heart of it, right? It's that in all of us, we all have this capacity to do magical, wonderful, godlike things. And it's crazy because the phoenix, the reason why the phoenix becomes dark phoenix is because she has to deal with what it means to be human, right? And that it is not that easy. Love and relationships and all of that stuff is not easy. It's really, really complicated, right? So I'll give you an example. Um, when you have friends, love can make things complicated, right? Like you're in like a platonic relationship and one of you develops feelings for the other. And so you like to get the guts and tell the other person, hey, I like you as more than a friend. And then two things can happen. One can be, oh, me too. And then you develop a romantic relationship. Or that feeling is not given back. And then you end up with something like unrequited love, which, like in this case, Logan, Wolverine, Angel even has a crush on Jean Grey, right? And Jean, I have been in this situation before, right? Where I love you too, but I don't love you in that way, right? And it doesn't mean like it's any less deep, right? I have had very deep friendships with boys. Some of them have left this realm now, right? And, you know, there's also, and I've also been married for 11 years, right? So there's also this level of being aware that because having respect for your partner and then not losing yourself in any of your relationships, which I have had to work on personally with anything, just where, like, even with Jean Grey and the Phoenix, like, where do you end and where does the Phoenix begin? And, like, you are both, and just like those of you who are very high empathy, high intuitiveness, this which emotions are mine and which emotions am I like a radio receiving in from the greater cosmos, right? And part of that's you too, right? But sometimes it can be just overwhelming. Like, I really struggled over the last week or so, um, just feeling everybody. I felt myself, I felt everybody, and all that kind of stuff. And like, just a lot of crying to like songs and stuff and getting it out. So, if you guys have been going through a heavy emotional time, you're not alone. I feel you. And I think what's important is to look at what practices, what emotional martial arts we can incorporate in our lives to kind of deal with all of that stuff, right? Let me turn this down Oh, it's so funny. I thought I couldn't hear anything with this mic. Okay. All right, let's continue onward. So, Kitty's touching the egg, like in Arrival, that movie where it's like, oh, alien contact. What could this be? All we know for sure is that the phoenix made whatever this is, and whatever it wants is probably bad for us, the universe, and life in general. Now, here's the thing about the Phoenix. I feel like the Phoenix is so misunderstood. Like many comics I've read, you guys, like Avengers versus X-Men, or X, where it's Avengers, X-Men, and Eternals. There's always the Phoenix, right? And the Phoenix is coming to Earth and it's going to destroy everything. But there's this also the concept of resurrection and renewal, rebirth, being able to reimagine things, but also this concept of when things get hard, you don't just blow it all up too. So when do you know when to stay and push through things, and when is it okay, clear the board, begin anew? So the Phoenix is in there, Kitty. Let's go. Let's kill it. Hey. It is a galactic being of unknown origin and unimaginable power. It has always been and may always be, right? So it's a cosmic entity. It does not exist in the constraints of time and space. It exists in beyond it, right? That's why the Phoenix requires an avatar, a host, in order to function in it. That's right. I agree with you, Glenda. Don't hurt her. It's more complicated. You'll see. It is death and birth incarnate. We can't just go in there and kill it, says Beast, as you so eloquently put it, Hellion. So, what do? Let's go in and let's say hello. Who's crazy enough to go in there first? And then you see Logan. Snit, snit, claws out, ready to go in there. Oh yeah, I forgot. Wolverine's in the house. Got in Himmel, and then so they go in the egg, and it looks kind of like a hellscape. Remember, it's a firebird, right? Are we in hell? Magic says no. Oh, Snowflake. Oh, so Snowflake, but Snow FL, thank you. Of course, Logan, right? First one in there. Are we in hell? No. I thought we were going to find Jean in Arizona. Bobby, save your energy. None of this is real, I hope. Ha! I made that joke the other day. Has poor Jean been trapped in here the entire time? Well, it wasn't always a hellscape. She was in more of this dream state where she's working at a diner and stuff, and she meets Magneto, and it's all stuff from her memories and things. And it's also how in the X-Men, they have the danger room where you're running through constructs and it's not real, but part of it is real. What is reality? Do. Oh yeah, thank you, Adriana Fox. Appreciate that. I'm classic Jean Grey. Soon, very soon, I will have the official Psy shield. And I'm working on an update. I do have a Phoenix cosplay, Dark Phoenix cosplay, but I do have a classic Phoenix cosplay in the works as well. So stay tuned for that, as well as more reads and little skits. But those have taken so much longer for me in post-production. It's kind of crazy. Okay. Slow down, X-Men. We got company, says Kitty. I think we found the people who live here. That kid in front, it's Josh Guthrie, Icarus. Do you guys know about Icarus? He had the wings that his dad made him, and then he flew too close to the sun, and then it melted the wax from his wings, and then he fell. So there's a tell in that story. Yes. And then John. Oh, I love Storm so much too. One of my fave X-Men from when I was a kid too. My original favorite X-Men is Storm. Colossus is right. Don't hold back, X-Men. These are not our fallen teammates. They are an abomination. Their silence, the way they move, They are more like the phoenix's creatures that we fought before. Because remember, it's a dream construct. It's an egg. So everything in there is based on Jean's memories. They're just kind of like copies of that. Whatever you are, I know you aren't Jamie Madrox. Oof. Slash. Ah. So they fight for a bit. I'm going to just jump a little ahead. And they come to the diner where like the phoenix is basically holding Jean's consciousness hostage. I'd say she has no memory of the X-Men or any of that life. So the phoenix up on top of there, and then it's more impressive than I remember. Gods always are. That's right, Gwen. Be nice to our God. So, what do we do now? We kill a god, says Logan. Oh my gosh, come on, you guys. Let's not be so dramatic. Come on, come on. I think the phoenix is just misunderstood, like a lot of cosmic entities are, right? You're dealing without time or death in that kind of way from this perspective. So, And then so Kitty jumps out in front of the team being like, okay, hold on. Maybe we need a plan. Wait. If the phoenix isn't bonded with her yet, it's in a weakened state. Right, Hank? And B says, all right, well, theoretically, yes. And if it is bonded with her, it could just wipe us all out. Yes. Less theoretical, but yes, again. It let us in for a reason, and now it wants us to fight to the death in front of Jean. Why would it want us to do that? I can't say for sure, says Hank. I'm not a cosmic entity. You described all of this as an egg, she asks. Yes. And it didn't want us to smash the egg because we might destroy what was inside, right? Well, that was a guess. So what if this is what it really wants? A fight, violence, death. What if our fight is what it needs to push Jean over the edge and make her bond with it? What if it let us in here just to help Jean hatch? What are you suggesting? We don't give it what it wants. Oh, thanks, Red Heron. It wants a fight. So instead of fighting, we are going to talk. We send in one person to talk to Jean, and then Cyclops, baby Cyclops, little Cyclops has volunteers. I'll go. And Logan, who's old here, because remember, in the X-Men, they've got these versions of like the younger versions of the X-Men that they bring into the future and the timelines and all that stuff. So, and remember, many timelines, Jean Grey is dead, right? So keep that in mind here. So old Logan puts his hand on Cyclops' shoulder and is like, you got stones, kid, but it should be me. And, teenage Cyclops, Scott Summers, is like, listen, it's Jean in there. We don't want to send in a cold-blooded, that is not your Jean in there. The woman you know and love is going to turn up just fine. Trust me. But this isn't her, kid. You don't know the woman in there. You didn't ever love her. I did. And then Kitty responds saying, Logan is right. It should be him. I'm sorry, Scott. Logan, I know you love her, but if the Phoenix manages to bond with Jean, and he walks in there, I know what to do, right? The hard thing. And that's why they didn't send Cyclops, because if things go sideways, Wolverine will do what needs to be done, and sometimes it's the harder thing, right? So walks into the diner, ding, ding, ding. And Jean in her like pink little outfit is like, your server, you know. I'll be with you one sec, sir. Morning. Can I get you a cup of coffee? And Logan looks at her. He's almost like in amazement. Just, wow. She's like, okay. Kinda awkward, but okay. Sorry. You just look like someone I know. Coffee would be great. You look kind of familiar yourself. You live around here? No, I'm just making a quick stop, Red. I swear, we could have met somewhere. If we did, it was a lifetime ago. Well, what brings you to town, mister? I'm meeting someone I haven't met in a while. An old friend? I'm not sure yet. Not sure if you're a friend or foe yet, Jean. And then this is sketchy lady in the corner there with the sunglasses on asks, you sure you don't want that coffee to go so you can be on your way, buddy? Obviously trying to like shoo him away. Think, Jeannie. Think. Think about how you know about me. Don't touch her in the corner. And Jean puts her hand across the counter. And this is where like touch is so important to communicating so much stuff. The remembering of like who you really are. All of that good stuff is all like entrenched in stories like this, right? So he reaches out and she's so unsure. Jean is like, I'm not sure. And Logan continues, somewhere in there, you know, none of this is real. What do you mean? You're smart, Jeannie. Think about it. This world, your life, nothing about this ever felt wrong. This isn't you, and I think you know it. And Timmy, I saw you step in. Hey, how's it going, my friend? And thank you for the gift. And I love the drop in at the most like cosmic part of the story too. Just casual side powers like that. So Logan's trying to like talk to her, and of course like Annie in the corner with the shades on is just like, Annie, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? No. And so she says, okay, Chief, that's enough. You don't get to come in here and scare my staff. Why don't we take a... And then so at this point, Logan does what Logan does, which is like rips out this biatch's throat with his claws. So that happens, and Jean's horrified. Is like, what? No. Oh my God, Annie. And then Logan turns back to his coffee saying, I'll take a refill when you got a minute. And she's just like, you just killed my boss in front of me. And so outside while this is happening of the diner, the rest of the X-Men team is watching. Anybody see where that enormous flaming bird just went? So there used to be that big bird sitting on top of the diner, which has now disappeared, probably as a result of like Logan ripping out that sketchy lady's throat. I think that's related, right? And then there's a rumble under the ground. This does not bode well. What the hell did you do? Yells out Jean. And Logan says, you've been asleep, Red. This is your wake-up call. You won't look at what's really going on. And it's my job to make you see it. And so after getting her throat ripped off, she gets up. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? And she like puts her head back on. It's time to wake up, Mama Jean. Indeed. Jean, honey, I know this is a lot to take in. And Jean looks at her just like, okay, you just like, your throat was, you were bleeding. I thought you were dead. And now you're like alive. So this is kind of, okay, a, a lot. You just died, Annie. Things aren't always what they seem. Indeed. And then at this point, Logan, like, he's going to pay for his coffee in the dream world, which I guess you do. Also, when I did Princess Mononoke and we talked about, like, safety practices when astral traveling, don't eat food in the astral realm. Typically, although, like, Logan's a badass, so I guess he doesn't care. But typically you don't want to, like, you know, even Persephone, when she went down to Hades and she ate those pomegranate seeds, and that's why she couldn't come back to the surface. So just, like, be aware of food. Like, bring your own snacks, you know? Bring your own snacks into the dream. Have them on you. Drink your own stuff. Only from beings you trust. That's my tip. Oh, hey, John McNary. Good evening. I hope you are well. We are doing a little resurrection read because I'm back, baby. So let's do some miracles. That's one of my favorite lines of Jean Grey from any comic book, right? Where Iron Man's like, we need a goddamn miracle. And Jean's like, well, lucky for all of you, I do miracles. It's a nice name, too, like Mira. Mira is kind of like short for miracle, too. So, cute name. And Mira in Aquaman, right? The Queen of Atlantis. And that. So, not to mix my universes, although Atlantis exists here, too, right? Yeah, me too. I'm glad to. I've been asleep, kind of like Jean in this. She needs to wake up, right? Wake up. The world needs you. Can't be trapped in a dream realm the entire time. So Logan flashes a bill and it says, I told you so, Red. Coffee tastes like shit, by the way. They wanted a refill. It's all, remember that Celine Dion song? It's all coming back to me. When you touch me like this and you kiss me like that, it was lost long ago and it's all come. It's that kind of thing where it's like all the memories come flooding back and like, I forgot that I forgot this, right? It's all starting to come back now, isn't it, Jeannie? Do you remember who you are? And then his claws are just in. There's like still blood on them. I'm gonna need an answer, sweetheart. Yes, I remember. Oh, red hair. I love that. The love painting of the, so look at the eyes. And so finally, like, do you remember who you are? And you know what, you guys? To all of you out there, because we're all the characters that we read, be aware when your Logan shows up. And maybe kills a boss, you know, like a terrible boss, and looks at you and says, what are you doing? Why are you working this dead-end job out in this, like, hick restaurant over here? Or, like, why are you working your corporate gig? Why are you working for the enemy? Do you remember who you really are? So there's, like, you can kind of relate that to real life, at least to me. I mean, I've been through this period of time. And so, yeah, she remembers, and everything kind of blows up, and the Phoenix is back. Lots of explosions. And then he gets thrown outside the diner. Logan, are you okay? What happened? She remembers. Oh, yes. The ultimate. Oh, and look at this. Look at this. Look at this dark Phoenix. I need to work on that cosplayer, you know? Dun, dun, dun. I'm back, baby. Yes, she's upset that our God. Girl, is it? Yes, we're back. We're back. And it's time to make this a better place, right? All that power, right? And power is power. And I think that's a big tell, too. It's the Phoenix has had many hosts, and there's this concept, like when I do lives with you guys, sometimes I'm like, welcome to the white hot room, baby. This is where all of my Phoenix hosts come to party and hang out in a timeless space. Logan finds himself there once upon a time. As well, there's a Spider-Man noir story I need to find where Spider-Man actually finds himself. I think like he finds the macabre crystal. Anyways, that's a side thing. Oh, and thank you for the star. Yo, yo. Sir Dallas and Wolverine. I could see that. I could see it's like all of that rage that is pent up inside. Like I know exactly what that feels like. All you like the bottling up, the holding back of like I'm not gonna say anything, and then eventually, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back, and then all the rage comes out. So like that, I've had to work on that because sometimes people who are not deserving of your rage get it, and like people who are deserving of it probably don't get it. So it's, sometimes it's just directing your powers is part of it. So speaking of which, big show of Phoenix power here, baby. Crunch. And Phoenix is back, and she says, hello, Bobby. Aurora. Hiya, Jean. Jean. Scott, you are so young. I'm not who you think I am. You're scared of me. Yes. Is this it, Jean? Is this who you are? It's who I have always been, Hank. No, it isn't. And then and a crash, and the Phoenix emerges. Stop, hold your fire, says Kitty. This is Jean's fight. And Aurora, holding in her hand, she's like, for the moment. Why can't you just leave me? Jean, honey, you need to calm down. Stay back. This isn't right. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're tricking you, Jean. Just talk to me. Oh, hey, voice of one, my cable brother. I was just talking about Jean, who, I guess in some ways, like both are moms in a weird way, right? Madeline Pryor, that whole thing, because that's Jean too, right? Because Phoenix, if you think about it, also has Jean's memories. And if we think about it, if we had Jean, the Phoenix, and Madeline Pryor, they could basically be like triplets. If we think about it like genetically. But they do have their own personalities, even though like the base is this. There's something to all of that, right? So Jean's now fighting against the Phoenix, who's now saying that like her friends, like, they're tricking you, Jean. This isn't what you want. And then Jean fires back at her. They're not tricking me. You're the one who's tricking me. She's like, how can you say that? Annie Richardson died when we were 12. The Frisbee, the car, I remember it all. But that's the point, honey, that it doesn't have to be the end. Oh, yes. We can make the world whatever we want it to be. You can have whatever you want. I don't want anything. Yes, you do. Mom? Dad? Is this real? Of course it is. Anything you want can be real if you embrace the Phoenix. Please, no, just leave me alone. Jeannie, dear, please, I can't take this. Stop. Sweetie, the Phoenix is the spirit of death and rebirth. What could be more beautiful than getting to save all the people you've lost? You could do that. How tempting, right? No, all of you. Did you all die? You're all dead. You can save us, Jean, if you just... No. Big explosion. Then that psi power just pushes out. No, 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 no. And then it's over. I don't want any more of your illusions. You have nothing left to offer me. Do you hear me? Nothing. Jean, and then from the shadows. This part breaks my heart, you guys. I've already read this ahead of reading this live to you guys. And yeah, I just think it's important I do. So, Scott. So if you guys remember any of like the timeline jumping, this version of Scott Summers, there's a timeline where like the X-Men become fractured and there's two factions, one led by Cyclops and one led by Wolverine. It's in a certain future. And so this version, remember, like there's that young Cyclops who is on this team trying to fight the Phoenix. And Jean was like, oh, you're so young, because he's from a different timeline. But this is more for Scott, right? Yes, the Age of Apocalypse version. Yes. So Scott, Jean, what's happening? I said, enough. And he pushes her. She pushes him away in this like force of emotion, right? And he falls down. And he looks back up at her saying, okay, well, that is not how I imagined this going after all this time. And then Jean's like, oh, shoot, this wasn't a construct. I think that's really you. Oh, God, you're real. Oh, Scott, your memories. You got so sick. You died. I remember. I wasn't here to protect you. I couldn't. You died too, Jean. You know that, right? And how we are here. We're alive. I didn't think I'd ever get to see you again. Take off your visor. I can't. Trust me. This part's sad. So he takes off his visor. Right? Open your eyes, Scott. Nothing will happen. And he does. You can see like this, like, you know, those heat ray eyes gazing at Jean, raw, right? I remember once like seeing her like fully, he's like, oh, now I know you're a natural redhead. Because, you know, everything looks red to him. I missed you so much. I missed you too. I thought about you every single day, Jean. And then they kiss. I'm sorry, Jean, for everything. For what happened to you. For what happened to us. And she pushes a finger to his lips. I know. I'm sorry, Scott. It's not supposed to be like this. I can't let... I know. We were better off dead. And so at this moment, Jean makes a sacrifice. So they kiss, right? I will always love you, Jean Grey. And I will always love you too, Scott Summers. And she lets him go. And then she looks back up at the Phoenix saying, tell me, Scrah, is that it? Because the Phoenix promises, like, you don't have to feel the pain of losing anyone, right? I can just resurrect them. We can just make it go back, right? And so this is the conversation that really got to me, this point, this part. I know that was meant to hurt me, but I got to see my husband one last time, and that is all I really wanted. I'm done now with all of this. I won't play God with you anymore. And I won't let you hurt me or the people I love ever again. All of this using people, playing with their lives, building whole fake worlds. It's not right. It's not fair to do that to me or anyone. And it looks like the Phoenix almost understands at this point. Remember, cosmic entity, these things like empathy and kindness and compassion, that's human stuff, right? So, I know I asked for your help. I don't know why you gave it to me. And I don't know why you keep coming back. Of all the beings in the universe, you chose me. And that used to make me feel special. But now, I don't feel anything at all. I was supposed to die on that shuttle all those years ago. I know that now. But you keep bringing me back. You want me to be something that I'm not, something I'll never be. And I wanted things from you, things no person ever should have. I don't know what you are or what your role in the universe is, but it's not here. And it's not with me. So what's happening is the Phoenix and Jean, it's not that Jean is it's a complicated relationship, right? It's a cosmic entity that takes Jean on as a host, but inside it is a relationship. And basically Jean is breaking up with the Phoenix, right? She called out for help to save her and her friends. And as she said, she wanted things that we shouldn't have. When people go, we lose people. It hurts, right? But perhaps we're not supposed to bring them back. Perhaps it was simply time. And it's hard for us to get lost. And I'm here. Oh, maybe you did get lost. If you haven't been here, like, I'm doing a read as Jean Grey. We're reading the Phoenix. And the Phoenix at this point makes a final plea, right? Because I think at the end of it, right, like the Phoenix and Jean Grey do love each other as well, right? It's relationship with like a higher cosmic being. And so this idea of being one with that is a thing, right? And so in these different timelines, so so funny being lost, right? You can never be found unless you're lost first. So that's kind of a fun thing. So in all of these timelines, it's like the Phoenix is speaking to Jean saying, don't you understand, Jean Grey? Together, we can be gods. Then we can transcend this place. Or we can hide together. Or we can become your best self. Or we can simply go back to the way things were before any of this. We can forget any of this ever happened. And Jean looks at her. You don't understand. That's not how things are supposed to work. You're trying to protect me from these things, but you can't. I am supposed to feel pain. I'm supposed to know loss. And I need to be able to do it on my own. And the Phoenix says, you will die without me, Jean Grey. The people you love will also die. But remember what I said about how death is a necessary part of life. And I have read you guys a Phoenix comic book where the Phoenix goes up against Thanos. That's kind of fun because Thanos worships Lady Death. That's for another time. But remember, time is not linear and it's always happening. So even though this happens, it's not the end, right? And Jean says back to her, to the Phoenix, I know, And I'll regret not being able to save them every day of my life. But that's my journey. That's life. You're trying to save me from being alive. I don't want to die, but I need to be allowed to live. And you need to move on without me. I can't be what you wanted me to be. And maybe I never could. I need you to forget I ever existed. And she reaches out to the phoenix to say one last goodbye. To hold the spark. And the phoenix looks up at Jean. Goodbye, Jean Grey. Goodbye. And it hurts. Right? There are many ways, metaphorically, we can talk about what that is, the fire, the spark. Certain aspects of self we have to say goodbye to move on, to live, right? And at that point, she's back. And Hank says, welcome home, Jean. I know, right? I cried reading this. It was, of course, though, you guys, there are no endings, right? There is no end, to quote Dr. Manhattan. It is always just happening. So I'm working on this cosplay right here. This original Phoenix Jean cosplay. Before she gets corrupted, becomes Dark Phoenix, right? So, oh my gosh, I'm like super emotional from that. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I was tearing up about it. And so what I want to leave you guys when it comes to this, right? The phoenix herself with like the big glasses and all that. And just to revisit that storyline a little bit more, because it all kind of gets befuddled, right? Because that initial time that Jean dies, it's interesting because the Dark Phoenix saga storyline happens timeline-wise in our reality around the same time DC has Crisis on Infinite Earths. And in both those timelines, Jean dies and Supergirl dies. And so there's like this interesting thing I notice about how it's like a sacrifice of a goddess kind of thing for something else to happen. But also it's this matter of, in the selfless act of giving yourself up to a higher purpose, right? That's in the end, like, that's what makes a hero, right? This idea of like, it's not about me. It's about my team. It's about the world. It's about hope. It's about something bigger, right? And that's where like stories like this come into play. Jean is a perfect host for the Phoenix because you may be a type of human being who is a perfect avatar for a cosmic being. I don't know how to explain it in ways other than that who you're playing right now at this very moment is you, full stop, yes. But also, you are everything in the universe. Every blade of grass, every bird you see, me, you, we are all just playing a game, right? This is a game of like pretend and then remembering, right? Forgetting and remembering and hide and go seek with our higher self, right? Because, if we were all overpowered, as I told you guys in the past, this game wouldn't be so fun, right? But also, just when it comes here, when she says goodbye to Scott and that heartbreaking scene where, I've been in relationships as well, too, where like that love you have for that person when you're like your first love, you're like 16 and everything's so pure and beautiful and wonderful. You think it'll last forever. And it doesn't, of course, but in that moment where you believe it will, it does. And I think that's a way of reconciling the different timelines and the different versions of self, right? Who you were at 20 is not who you were at 30, and who you are now at 40, me, right? But there's a way for all of these selves to kind of work together cohesively and, for the greater good of like the universe and all that kind of good stuff, right? So I will be back tomorrow. We're going to go back to DC. Supergirl will be back. We're going to talk a bit about superhero school because I myself personally, you guys, have been going through my own personal mental health crisis. But I've been able to get some help, right? I've been able to actually like reach out, be honest, confront certain things about my own childhood that were very traumatic. And also, trauma and pain and grief and suffering and all these things do these things to us where we create, let's say, aspects of ourselves to protect ourselves, right? And this can be anything along the lines of like setting more extreme boundaries, right? Or we like need to hermit for a little while and just like cut ourselves off. But don't forget to get yourself back and like do the things that bring you joy, right? To remember what your hobbies are and all the things that seem like they're frivolous and silly and childish, because I can't tell you guys, we need that. We want a miracle, then I need all of you guys to believe it too, right? It needs, that's where the power of most telepaths and psychic comes from. It comes from the power of collaborative magic, collaborative ways of us honing our intentions, right? And if we all can calibrate our frequency, coherence, and resonance to something that is beautiful, golden, magical, wonderful, succulent, joyous, if we can bring that, we can anchor that, right? And we have a lot of nefarious forces against us, right? And the serious folk will say, well, you need to grow up and you need to do this and pay taxes and license and do everything the proper way, right? So, okay, sure, but I've done all that, right? And maybe, just maybe, we can try thinking a little bit outside of the box, right? And because the way we've been doing things lately, just don't think it's been working. So maybe we can revisit the way we educate people, the way that we look at things like art and entertainment, infuse arts and sciences a little bit more so these practices inspire each other and collaborate with each other instead of competing with each other. Oh yes, def. So, and Jessica Cruz will be back soon as well. We do have some lantern stuff to talk about, just regards of like emotions and modulating stuff. And I've been doing some stuff to try to infuse superheroes with things like, I came up with a term the other day. I don't know. I'm going to finesse it a bit more, like emotional martial arts, right? When you get like an overwhelming feeling of like anxiety, let's say, or, that fight or flight response. And this is why like working out has been so helpful for me, is so that all that energy is still energy. So if you can alchemize and use the rage towards like boxing or a dance routine or like lifting heavy weight or a painting, or like you can channel all that energy towards something else, that's the true magic, right? The hardest, of course, are things like fear and grief and pain and all that, right? But have the courage to feel it, you guys. Let's not ignore. Oh, Kev's collectible spot. Yes, I saw those pics, and I think I might be able to source some toys soon of it. Yeah. Emotional martial arts. Oh, thanks for that. True magic. You guys are the best. So, Jean Grey is going to be a teacher for superhero school coming up, and it's a 12 hero module with all my different cosplay characters teaching a little different something, right? I've also been doing something in the back end, trying to figure out how to really bring the cosmic comic book club to real life. Hey, Scott Summers. I just was reading about you and how, like, I will always love you, Scott Summers, no matter what. And it just goes to show, too, you guys, like, the whole complicated part of just love and friendship and all that kind of stuff. Why is your character choose take a break? Well, you know what? I will tell you this. Each of my cosplay characters, I personally have a personal connection to. So Gwen Stacy, to your question, I am like, I feel everything in my body. So like, it's like when I say something that is like on, or like or like you get something and you just get like the full body tingles or the hair stand up in the back of your neck, or you just get like, oh, like, I don't know, like, I feel like I should call this person. Or you hear a song on a radio and you hear like, or you see like a billboard or something with someone's name on it. So I just welcome you guys to look for all the signs that are meant for you, because no one's going to know how to interpret all those special symbols other than you. And that's what has been so trippy for me about reading stuff like the comic books with you guys, is that, you know, when you read, it's very much like a solitary act. It's like you and like your story, and you're in your own head, and like you've imagined things a certain way. And then when you bring that out to the world and you're like, I really love this thing, you realize other people love it too, but in their own way. And I used to be so like possessive about it. Like, that's not the way you love Jean. Like, you don't know all the stories. How dare you cosplay as them? You don't know anything, blah, blah. So that is not like, I've matured out of that, right? Because love is not possession. Because you love something or someone does not mean that you get to control that, right? Because like, well, but I love you, right? So you should do this, right? But where's Scott? Well, I had to let him go, right? Because to me, Scott and Jean will always represent that true, like, immortal love of what like that teenage first true love is, right? And it, I love Gwen Stacy. I don't cosplay her. I don't think you have to cosplay anybody, right? Cosplay is a personal choice. We love our characters and we love what we love in our own ways, right? Whether or not that is drawing, right? Whether or not that's like putting together mood boards, or like creating your little edits, or like your own little fan fiction stories with the characters. There are ways of honoring the energy signatures that you love in your own way. And my way of doing it is cosplay, because to me, it's like putting on that character and being able to, like, I really, like, Jean told me today, that sounds crazy, but like, she's like, you can put me on, Rachel, like, put me on. I'm like, okay. And I know, like, oh, Robin, hey, Robin, I wanted to do DC tonight because I, to do some collabs with the other Gotham folk, but I really wanted to talk about Jean just from the perspective of empathy, and also from the perspective of relationships with higher cosmic entities, and also this concept of like how timelines and time and dimensions and reality, right? And then where special you, sit in all of it, right? So let's not forget that we are all psychic, right? And how that will be expressed is going to be unique to all the codes, the gene codes, the light codes, all of the stuff that makes you who you are. And so this is like, what is that lyric? Life is not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? And so, oh, Robin, but like my project manager self will say like, well, you can have multiple little sprints, right? To make up the bigger thing, right? So for all of you guys who I would say fall on, because if you have like different superheroes, right? You have like more of the strength superheroes, like Superman, you've got like the tacticians, the technical people, you have the more like magic people, you have like the cosmic god people, and then of course you have the telepaths, the psychics, the clairvoyants, the ones who fight like this, or like in dreams and stuff, right? In the unseen worlds. And if you find yourself being that kind of character, that individual, I welcome you to develop your own practices. So I've been doing just little things for yourself, right? Where you can like stretch your psychic muscles, where try guessing, the card that'll appear next in a deck. Or try thinking about a song and see if it appears on the radio. Or just pay attention to subtle ways and frequencies and things, that kind of thing. So, anyways, I love to ask you questions, character mom. Like, oh yeah, I would love to do that. We can do a bit more character role play coming up soon too. Now that I'm a bit more comfortable with like acting out as my different characters as well. Yes, Harry Two-Face. Yeah, I wanted to do DC Gotham tonight, but I had to put on Jean because for my own personal, I love guessing people's signs. Oh, that's cool. I love that too. You know what, too, you guys? I love if you ever meet me in person, I love like knowing. Actually, you guys, before we end, I feel like things like comic books and art and like what you like tells a lot about what your personality and who you are, right? And this is why I hate it when people pretend to like things just like to make me happy, because like that doesn't help me, right? Like if you don't know anything about it, then I would be more than happy to like, here, let me lend you a comic book. Oh, Santiago, Emma was in this actually earlier. They go to talk to her. And Emma and Jean actually have a funny relationship, as in like later stories, right? And Emma says a funny thing to Jean about how like Emma's like, Jean, you have to realize that your nightmare is my love story, right? The fact that like Scott cheated on Jean with Emma, and Emma did love Scott and they did love each other, but Scott of course thought that Jean was dead. So there's all of that gets complicated with it, right? Even Madeline Pryor, the whole clone situation, like could Jean really get mad at Scott for cheating on her? And then like that's how Cable was born too, right? But these things are so much more complicated than we think, right? And when you are in a committed relationship with someone, the rules, not the rules, but rather like the respect you have for each other, that's just you guys, right? As someone who's been married for like 11 years, you have to realize that like your relationship's not really for anyone else other than each other, right? And for you guys to like make it whatever you want it to be, right? You don't have to deal with other people's like, well, you guys should do this by this time and all that kind of thing. I'm in a committed psychic relationship. Call me weird for roleplay talk in third person. You know what? I tell them to screw off, Gwen Stacy. People who don't like. I love talking about myself in third person. I had you see my magic mushies behind me and my big mushroom land journey, right? I've had mushroom experiences where like, like the eagle eye view where you're like looking at yourself from like a higher state, right? Or like I always listen. I always feel like I have like a soundtrack. That just reminded me of what I wanted to ask you guys. So to me, music has been super duper healing. I grew up with a mother who was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which is a mood disorder. And so I've only recently, like I love my mom, right? Regardless of everything. But you have to also realize like where they can hurt you, right? And so to have healthy boundaries where like, how can you live with this without like hurting yourself in the process? Or in the past, I've been in friendships with people where it's been a very one-sided, disrespectful friendship, but I've stayed in it just because you've been friends a long time, right? And so we do this sometimes. We people please and do these things like bend over backwards And then I find that we sometimes get resentful later, being like, well, I'm doing all this for you, and then like I'm getting nothing back. And like, but perhaps we haven't learned how to ask for that in a way that is not demeaning or like demanding, right? Because we've held back from asking so long. That's smart though, Gwen Stacy, because when you're role playing too, you're also, I think, revealing deeper personalities of yourself, right? And sometimes it's not always safe to reveal all those like more vulnerable versions of you, right? Um, I get that. I think that's where I'm gonna end it now, you guys. I was gonna do a midnight read. This was actually rescheduled from yesterday, so I do midnight reads in cosplay on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Supergirl will be back tomorrow, I think. I'm playing D&D tomorrow though, so that we'll see how that'll work. I might have to do that earlier in the day. I do have some Green Lantern, Supergirl stuff to put in there. But I do also want to do some stuff with Jean and the Phoenix and Rachel Summers, because Rachel Z, my source person of who I am, right? So good to read. I love that. Thank you. Oh, so many tingles for that, because you get, oh my gosh, and more to come with like my dream dragon eggs, because this is part of like the movie that I'm making as well. So I've got a lot of fun stuff to share. Hopefully organizing it a lot better now that I've come out of like my own personal mental health crisis. So, yeah, I myself have just gone through like being like, wow, I need to like take care of myself. I need to do things like I, I'm a big bath person, so I need to do things like take long Epsom salt baths and like commune with like nature, go out and like hug a tree. I have tuning forks, which I haven't used in forever, that are tuned to the Schumann resonance, and like putting it on your chakras, doing more dance classes. So in your own life, whatever you do to nourish your soul and your spirit and your mental health, all of that is all intertwined. And, when we're running, trying to like put out multiple fires and just dealing with like just heavy emotions and all the stuff, all the bad news, all of that stuff, take 5, right? And go into that timeless space of your imagination and furnish it with all the wonderful things. And hopefully this year we'll be able to meet there, right? Breathe, all that kind of. Our dragon children are doing great. More to come on them coming up very soon with my character Mayari Moonchild, as we talk about the dream dragons, right? As well as the sonic knights of my world. So in my world, I have the knights of frequency. So, and the dancers are typically female. It doesn't always have to be that way, but we have the dream dragon dance warriors and then the sonic frequency knights, because dancers need music. Dun dun. And we summon the dragons through certain frequencies and music, all that stuff. So thank you guys for joining me for this Jean Grey resurrection and our birthing of our truest, highest, most magical selves. And so I will leave you with this, that it takes true courage for you to be exactly you in this cosmic game of life. So be sure to play as exactly you, because the universe is counting on you. But no worries, I have your back. Just give me a shout psychically, I love you too, Gwen Stacy. And John McNary, I will see you next time, milady. Oh, I think you'll appreciate this, my new sword. I'm actually going to turn this into more of like a moon-touched short sword coming up. And squishy, I have a P.O. box. So if you want to send me your book, I would love to read it live, as well as I have other things and giveaways I'm going to be doing soon, as well as I'm giving away scholarships to superhero school, which I'm finally going to get up and running this Sunday, now that I've got like, my consciousness all sorted out. So, let me know. I can give you guys a scholarship. I know, Gwen, Stacy, you're not a big person on signing in, but I think I might have an option for you for that too. So stay beautiful, you guys. Stay strong, and I'll see you guys in the dream world. Bye. Oh, let's see if my gloves actually let me do this. Maybe I have to stay forever, right? Tap again to exit. Oh my gosh. I might have to get my hubby to do this. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. I can't leave. Okay, you know what? Oh, nope. Oh no. That's so funny. I can't actually do that. Okay, let's. It is a sign, like maybe it's like saying you should stay. I'm gonna see if I can get. Already blocked your path. What the hell? This used to work. Oh no. Yes, stay. Oh no. Well, that worked. Me clicking out. I have many different places I get my wigs from. I used to, Julian, actually dye my hair to try to match my hair color, but that's very damaging for your hair. I do have some fun looks coming up with my natural hair, like more like styling, but that takes so much time and I'm out of practice. But yeah, you can get wigs from different places, and I will say to you guys, it's like a protection thing for your head. It's like hats and stuff. Okay. Oh wow. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna like half undress on the side, and then use my free hand to do it this way. One sec. Hi, Wolfie. You want to say hi while we do this? While I try to. That's so funny. I've never had this problem before. And now I can't even get out of the suit. That's so funny. Maybe I do just have to stay. No, I'm free. I'm free. Do you want to say bye, Wolfie? Let's do that. Double it. You can help cover my. Oh, Wolfie. Come on. Okay. He's like, you woke me up. Are you kidding? Look at him. He's like, I'm not happy, Mom. All right, now we're actually going to say goodbye. All right, guys. Until next time. Grumpy puppy. Yeah, because I woke him up. I shouldn't have done that. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.